Today's reading is from the first chapter of John, beginning at the first verse. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. What had come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. There was a man sent from God, whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him. Yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, or of the will of the flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, 'He who comes after me ranks ahead of me, because he was before me.' For his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is God, the only Son, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known." Here ends today's reading.
Last night after the Vine service, Sharon and I had an invitation to go down to the Fiserv Forum and take a tour of the whole stadium. We didn't actually get to see like the locker rooms and stuff, but all of the event spaces. I think they thought that I was a high roller. I don't know how they would have gotten that impression. Or that maybe I could bring a group of people there that would want to spend like $100 a piece to sit in a room and watch the game way up in the rafters. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But part of our tour was we got to see the trophy that the Bucks won when they won the World Championship last year. They have it on display on this little pedestal. And we got our turn. We went and while we were waiting to see it, there was a couple. And it was this guy and I think probably his son. His son looked just like a little version of him. And he was holding his son up and looking at this trophy, and his son, I don't know who was more enamored with this shiny object, the son or the father, but the mother was taking their picture, and it was such a beautiful moment. And my wife said, now in 20 years, we're going to expect him to be out there on the court. And the father just beamed. You could just see it, that this little kid was so well loved and such a reflection of his father. In our gospel today, John is telling us about Jesus being a reflection of God. The earthly earthly picture for us to see what God is like and who God is. I would extend that to you and me as well. I think when I see you, I can see a little spark of who God is and the wonder and majesty that is in you. Last night I gave a really horrible sermon at the Vine. I totally misunderstood what my role was. And so I took this long scripture passage apart and I explained the Greek and the Hebrew, and I tried to teach everybody what was important about this. And last night when I got home, I was like, I don't think that worked very well. I just didn't feel very good about it. And so I was reading some of my old seminary stuff, kind of going back. And one of my professors said the task of preaching in Christmas is not information, but inspiration. And I thought, oh, great. I'm good at information. I don't know about inspiration. That sets the bar pretty high. And I was a little bit worried, and I thought, I'm just going to sleep on this. So I read the text one more time, and I said goodnight, and I turned the light off. And last night I had a dream. It was about a pastor who, long ago, in some little European mountain town that you might picture on a postcard at Christmas time. And it was a Advent season, only things were really bad. The valley down below had the crops fail. And so there wasn't going to be a lot of extra at Christmas time. In fact, a lot of people were having difficulty just feeding their family. And so there was sort of an attitude in the town and the area of looking out for yourself, making sure that your family would have what they needed. And the pastor noticed after the second week of Advent that church the attendance was down. And he noticed that people weren't putting their lamps out on their lampposts by their homes. And they weren't decorating the outsides of their door with wreaths or bows. And then inside the church, the third Sunday of Advent, the tree still wasn't decorated. And so this pastor decided he actually was quite perturbed with all this, and so he got up and he read them the riot act. Started preaching. What's wrong with you people? It's Christmas time. How come you're so into yourselves and locked in and selfish? This is not who we are, people. And he ended his sermon and he walked out. And then the next Sunday, he was kind of anxious to see what would happen. Wondered if he still had a job. And the only person to show up for church was the organist. God bless the organist. And he was totally deflated. He didn't know what to do. And so he decided he was going to go and visit all of his parishioners in their homes. And he walked around the dark streets in the late afternoon, knocking on people's doors. There was no lamps out. He didn't know that people were even home, but they answered the door and they let him in. And he told the people, he said, I've had a dream. First of all, I'd like to apologize for last Sunday. I don't know what happened. You didn't deserve that. word of the Lord came to me in a dream. And the word of the Lord said that I would be coming to this town to visit. And I'm going to come in the form of a beggar, someone searching for bread. And he went from house to house to house, apologizing for his behavior on Sunday and for the way that he let his anger sort of overwhelm him. And then sharing this dream about the angel, about a visitor, a holy visitor of God that would be coming to their town. He got around in that week to everyone, and he noticed that little by little, people started putting their lamps out to light the streetway. And they started putting bows and garland, and they started putting wreaths on their doors. And little by little, he noticed candles being placed around. And when he came to church on Sunday, he couldn't believe that the Christmas tree had been decorated. And he went, as people came in, people were wondering, did the visitor come? Did anyone see the visitor? Has anyone seen this angel of the Lord who came to visit? No, I haven't seen him. Have you seen him? I haven't seen him. People started embracing strangers in the street, offering them a bit of bread and a hug and a warm greeting. And the town was transformed as people were still yet on Christmas Eve waiting for the special visitor who never came.